Actually a move many pros have used for years. I've talked about it in my shorts, is, if I was gonna play a draw, I would close everything. Basically, wherever I wanted to start, I would aim my body, my feet, my hips, and then I would keep my club face a little closer to at the target. Maybe not like fully closed at the target, but almost a midpoint between where I want the ball to start and the target. That technique works fantastic for draws or fades, but the actual science behind it, I know I've talked about it before, is wherever your club face is aimed, your ball is gonna start out in that direction. And if your club is coming more from the inside than the face is aimed, it's gonna draw. If it's going more to the outside or across to the left than the face is aimed, it's going to fade. So to actually hit a draw or a fade close to the hole, for a draw, your face needs to be slightly open to the target, and then a draw needs to be slightly closed to the target. So technique versus factually dynamically what actually causes the ball to shape aren't necessarily in alignment. And so some guys comment on, it was a YouTube video about drawing the ball or whatever, was basically that, like, so-and-so, I forget exactly, it was an old-time pro, made drawing the ball simple, or shaping the ball simple. Just align everything where you want the ball to start, and then close your club face or open your club face more towards the target. And everyone was on his ass about, that's not the science behind it, your ball starts where the club face is pointing, it's your club path that determines shape. And it's like, you guys are both right. You guys are arguing about nothing. You're right, scientifically, that's what happened. And he's right, that is a method, probably the most common method used on the tour to shape the golf ball. It's simple. You close everything, aim your body wherever you want the ball to start, put that club face in a little bit, just throw it out to the right. Let it release. It's simple. Just the opposite, fade. Open everything up. Keep your club face a little closer to still pointed at the target. Comes right back. Just because that technique works doesn't mean the science necessarily matches up. And that's okay. If it works, it works. But as a better than most golfer, I felt necessary to kind of have that guy's back and explain basically what I just explained, that they were both correct. So, reels and feels, reels and feels. Hit something a little longer to get me warmed up. Like I said, these are the first shots I really hit today. That's probably why I kept hitting a little left of center. I kept aiming, lining up square with the mat. Mat was definitely closed a little bit more than normal. But that's all right, I move it around all the time. I've mentioned this before, but seriously look out for that. I mean, obviously a tee box, not a mat, but tee boxes don't always aim where you want to aim. And it's kind of tough when you have these, nice parallel lines, from the mower or whatever, or just the tee box itself. If I was aiming at the camera, and it was a little right or a little left, just naturally, if it was going a little right, you're gonna naturally want to set up down where all those parallel lines are going. It's a little more difficult. It feels like you're almost open, like you have an open stance at that point, but you don't. Just trying to fight how the tee box is aimed. See, that's the move. Right there in my practice swing, I try to avoid that, the over shallowing. Because sometimes I just don't think about it, and I kind of get a little bowed and a little across a little laid off. I almost said over the line, but over the line's this way. A little laid off and flat. And I'll tend to push the ball, hook the ball at that point. So I'm always trying to get that square position. You don't have to go all the way back to parallel, especially See how that would be parallel with the ground? Even with driver, I'm often not parallel to the ground. Unless I'm really, really trying to rip my driver, I might get a little bit past parallel or too parallel, but even my standard drives, you don't have to come to parallel. It's more about maxing out your shoulder turn and letting your hips turn with it. Because there was this instructor, I'm not gonna name names or anything, but his swing that he's trying to teach everyone, I don't even think I can do it. It's all shoulder turn. He has a closed stance. I'll give him that. Having a closed stance kind of presets your hips a little bit, halfway into your backswing. But if you don't move your hips at all, and I have a bad back, I can feel that straining in my back. If you don't move your hips and just your shoulders, your lower back doesn't move. It's basically pointing where your belt buckle is. In my upper back, I'm trying to get back towards the camera, it's twisting itself. And everyone's heard of comparing the body to a spring in the golf swing. Basically, the bottom of his spring is essentially his belt, and he's turning his upper body and hitting it. What is a better move, not only for your body, but is also going to create way more power, is obviously letting your hips and shoulders turn back. Then the bottom of that spring becomes the ground and your feet. You know, the fixed position of the spring, if that's what we're comparing the golf swing to, the human body to a spring, it's fixed at the floor, at the ground, where my spikes are. You know, you're coming back, arm, shoulder, your hips come, then again it starts at the ground. You kind of start coming forward off that front foot, getting your weight transfer, your hips, it's pulling everything down. If you don't use your lower body and you're just using your upper body, you're gonna have to have a closed stance to not slice the ball, pull the ball. You're just limiting yourself. You're only using your top half. It makes no sense. And I was very polite. I wrote a pretty lengthy explanation. I talked about how, you know, I'm not trying to say your swing is wrong or bad. And, you know, obviously there's things in my swing that I don't do to max out power. I'm not going for long drive swing. You know, I'm not trying to step into it, like, get that momentum going, swing as far back as I can, and just go for ultimate speed. No. You know, you want to find that perfect balance between hitting the ball long. You don't want to be a short hitter, but you also don't want to give up control. So it's all about, you know, power, control. Where do those meet on the graph for you? And every player's different. Everybody's ability is different. Flexibility, the way people's bodies move, hinge, their injuries. I have a bad back. My bad back has nothing to do with golf. Golf is even when my back's thrown out and I can barely do things, my golf swing has never hurt my back. It's very effortless. I barely try, and I hit the ball further than most people. Especially people that my size. I'm only about 155 pounds. So if there's anyone who's less than 160 pounds that thinks they can outdrive me, bring it. But it's very effortless. And where I was going with that is I think that is why I follow through a little bit different than some people. A lot of people get this front hip a lot more cleared, kind of in back of them through impact. You know, if I was kind of here, I have lower back problems. And at this point, if we can imagine the belt buckle, almost the front kind of your spine where your lower back is facing is essentially your belt buckle. If my belt buckle is out towards the target, and my head is still down at this ball, that's twisting. I can feel it straining my back. When I come through the ball, it's more of a lateral, straight down my line, you know, or in a parallel line. It's not at the target, it's just in a parallel line to my target line. Bump. And it allows my spine to not twist at all. I hit the ball, and then I can come up and around. And same with my backswing. Here, you know, my spine isn't twisted. My spine isn't twisted. Spine isn't twisted. I never have back pain from the golf swing. And I've mentioned this before, about a month and a half, I actually threw my back out shoveling. I was going too fast, and I twisted weird and hurt my back. And even while my back hurt, I could still hit golf balls with no pain. And it was only when I tried, you know, to do something like excessively turn this hip through, you know, anything, or if I were to just turn back and not use my hips, any kind of twisting of my spine would create that tension and a little bit of pain. So it's almost helped me those times when I've thrown my back out and I pick up a golf club, because I can feel exactly the positions that have no strain on my back at all. And I'm no slouch, even, hold on, let me hit a ball first. Even when I was about 15, I was swinging the club at about 115 miles an hour. Now it's even a little faster. It's closer to 118. I can get it, you know, if I'm really going after it, I can get the club head moving over 120 miles an hour, almost 125, if I go full long drive at it. It doesn't hurt my back at all, done correctly. And I not only do I think I do it correctly, but just I know my follow through is correct for my back, because I can tell what creates tension, what creates pain, and what does not. The golf swing is very much dependent on the individual. Got a little bit of rain in my ear. Alrighty. A few more. A bad habit I've noticed hitting into a net will give you, not only you kind of end up picking the ball clean, not taking divots with the net, but since you're hitting the ball and it's hitting a net so soon, you want to see where that ball flight was. So it kind of gives me a little bit of a habit of picking my head up soon. But that's another thing that's bad for your back, honestly. As opposed to more of a David Duval or Annika Sorenstam, you know, they would hit the ball, and as they were turning through, you know, their head basically went with their swing, as opposed to a lot of players, you know, they're basically finished with their swing and their head is still down at the ball. That's another move. You don't want to pick up early, you know, before you hit the ball. That's going to cause bad things. But excessively keeping your head down at the ball while you try to turn all the way through, that's creating tension and twist on your spine as well. So, like most things in the golf swing, there's, you know, a marriage between them, a happy medium, control and power. Showing off the tee. Be fun. Ooh, this is a really tall tee for this. Oh, nice. The top light feels like a rock, but it was hit solid. All right, I'm gonna stop this video. They take way too long to upload yeah, they're long. All right, till next time. Peace.